Welcome to episode 16 of the Inner Headspace podcast. We are back from a holiday break from the podcast, our first week we've missed. And luckily it was intentionally, it wasn't for any other reason. So, hope the holidays were good. This is releasing on the first day of 2021, but it is being recorded before then. Ooh. Time travel. So I've got a topic that I'm going to start us on. And we'll just go from there. I had something else I was going to say, and now I'm forgetting what it was. Oh, well, maybe it'll come back. So the topic of today, at least the beginning topic, don't know where it's going to go, is one that I heard from, I got prompted on, and I left a note of it. And it is basically, what if you got all the money you would have earned in your lifetime all at once up front? And how would that change the way people actually go about spending their money and living their lives?
Well, as that one guy that was interviewed on Fox, hookers and cocaine.
I'm sure there's a lot of people on Fox that said that. But I think some interesting questions that arise from that is like, what if you got all your money, not necessarily when you were born, but like as soon as you hit like 18, you got all the money you would have earned in your adult life. Just right out the gate, like deposited right into your bank account. And what if you like get out and it's like $1,000?
Yeah, I was gonna say like,
Does that mean you die?
Maybe I'm just a homeless piece of shit.
Or you go homeless? Something happens. That's the scary part. Is like, if you get a super low amount of money and then like your friend gets like billions of dollars,
like fuck.
Yeah, it's like, and you can't move that money around. The only thing you can do with it is spend it. Which also brings up like, in this fictional world, it wouldn't be capitalism because there wouldn't be revenue, because then that would mean people would be earning the money.
We're ignoring all that bullshit.
Yes.
Fancy, trying to get into details of why this is stupid.
That's fair. People tend to plan their life around what's called cash flow, where basically you're utilizing the money that's coming in consistently.
This is my high school finance class. Oh my God.
Where you're utilizing it to then put it, whether it's investing in something or basically just making it so you can make your money work as if it was more money.
Make your money work for you.
Exactly.
What they say.
Don't work for your money, make it work for you. But then if you get it all at once, then it's like, okay, well, first I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to buy a reliable car, and then I'm going to put everything in the house, and then what? Because no one would have a job. Or you could have a job, but it wouldn't be a paying job, obviously. So it's like, how, I guess, say you got, maybe you only make $1 million in your lifetime.
Damn.
A normal person, if you get it throughout, you'd be setting these goals, and you'd be like, okay, I'm going to save up till I hit this margin, and then I'm going to spend it for a down payment and then pay off the rest. But then say you just get given all your money, there wouldn't be that planning. There wouldn't be that goal setting. There wouldn't really be any of that. It'd be instant gratification for everything. And I feel like, to me, that would cause problems with the way our brains work with dopamine. And I think it would make us resort to some like other stuff in order to chase that feeling of progression, to be like,
yeah, cocaine.
Exactly, though. Like drugs would probably be like a normal thing. Crime would probably be a normal thing, even though crime technically is. But
it's kind of overrated.
Crime is overrated. But I think I don't know. It's just interesting it changes your entire life, because since your entire life revolves around your income and what you do with that income and the rate at which you receive the income, if all that's thrown out the window, it's like your life, to some people, your life would seemingly have no meaning.
Well, all right. Let's not blur lines here.
Okay.
You know, like,
Okay.
you can still have a passion and do something.
Yes.
Whether that passion generates revenue and monies and all that, like throwing that out the window, as long as you just do something you like. Like, for example, if it's painting,
Okay.
you just buy your supplies and you just
Yep.
paint all fucking day.
But the other part of this is like, instead of like when you spend money now,
Yeah.
you don't think of it as a permanent deficit of income, right? Like, I'm going to buy this stuff for the podcast, and it's like, I spent this money over time or upfront, whatever I chose to do.
Yeah.
And then in a month or two, it's like, oh, that money is now back. Like, it fills in the hole. But like,
Yeah.
since you're not gaining money, you spend money and it's gone forever, and you're never getting any more.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, that
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
necessarily
like,
mean much, but I'm saying
I understand what you're
the
saying.
mentality of it.
So this will first of all depend on how much I receive from my future self, depending how fucking lazy I decide to be, or maybe I go into a car accident and just die. It's like, oh,
Well, yeah,
oh.
yeah.
So, okay, first going back to the whole meaningless,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, I would say for some people, like I understand where you come from when you say meaningless, because,
Yes.
you know, whatever your habit is of, like, going to work,
Mm-hmm.
like doing the same thing for 5 days and then having your 2 days off.
Yeah.
That's obviously going to be completely thrown off, and you have to figure out what to do with your life in the meantime.
Yes.
And I would say for us, for example, you know, the whole thing where, like, I don't have the statistics, but people always say it from what I hear. You know, people like win the lottery, they like
Yep.
lose it within like the first year or whatever, like,
Or less.
yeah, or less, like
Yeah.
millions and millions and millions of dollars. They
Blow. Yeah.
they literally lose it just like that. And so
That's painful.
I would say for us, but maybe we have some like untapped dark side where it's like, oh, we actually get that type of power and we do that.
I will say I've been there, but that was technically right out of high school, before I was even a quote unquote more experienced adult. So I made, like, when I worked at Albertsons, I made enough to like just spend money whenever I wanted without looking. And then like when I left that job and went to a different job that didn't bring in as much income, I still had those habits.
Okay.
But then obviously I self-corrected. But this is assuming that this is just normal. Like, this is the normal way of the world. So I don't think people would have those, like, unless it's an instinctive habit, like
Yeah.
you're saying, like if it's part of their personality to be impulsively buying things.
Yeah, like, which is why, like, a lot of the times for, you know, poor people,
Mm-hmm.
like, and I believe this, that people always say, it's like, oh, the lottery and whatnot is a tax on the poor, because they always spend their fucking money on it.
Oh, interesting.
Because they're like, oh, I could win. So they
Yeah.
spend a lot of money on it,
Yeah.
and then they don't win.
Yep.
And so they're just spending what little money they have on stuff they shouldn't be spending on because they could win, blah, blah,
Interesting.
blah. And so,
Yeah.
like, they already have bad spending habits, so that's why when they win it, they just fucking toss it out the window.
Or like, I get everything I didn't have before. Oh, and it's gone.
And I'm trying to remember what you just said earlier, because then I was going to talk about it. Fucking.
Was it about the spending habits? Like spending it all at once?
It was after that.
Oh, crap.
What did you just say?
I don't know. The worst part about this whole thing is like the people listening to this in post can be like, idiot,
I know.
you just said this thing. Man, this is what a week off does to us, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. We might have to just come back on that one if it ever comes back.
If it ever comes back. Oh my God.
But I don't think there would. Well, there would still be a form of poor and rich in this scenario. But what I think is interesting is knowing how much money you have to work with.
Yeah.
I think on a technical standpoint, in a perfect world, would be good for the people who tend to just fly by the seat of their pants and just, like I was saying, they don't look at their bank account, or they don't care, or they're scared to confront their bank account and see like, I'm overspending, because they don't want to admit that. But then if you're like, oh, I have $3 million to work with my whole life, then it's like, the other thing though is culturally we would have a different form of cash flow in terms of like, if that was the normal thing for everybody, there would be no such thing as like getting monthly revenue, I guess. So like you wouldn't be getting $5,000 a month every month with this model, because you have all the money access to. Then it would come down to, what are you spending every month, pulling from this big pool of cash. But then the other thing is like, how would, economy wise, would that mean anti-consumer practices, if we're still in a capitalist society here in this hypothetical situation? Say someone overcharges for something, people are going to be way less willing to pull from their pot of gold, because that money's never coming back. So then they're less likely to take a risk, because investments don't exist in this time.
Well, like when you asked me the question, I was simply viewing it like how the world is right now, but it only applies to us in this scenario. Just to keep it simple, just to keep us, it's just us.
All right.
It's just only applying to us to keep things simple. That's how I was viewing it.
Mm-hmm. We can do that.
And so I think I don't know if a lot of people would, but one thing that would come into my mind is just moving to a different country.
Okay.
Because American dollars are worth a lot more depending where you go. Like a lot more.
Right.
Me and Cameron, I forget, it's like some place in Asia. And we were like doing the math, and we're just like looking up places to like, for it was so cheap.
Oh yeah.
Like I was like, oh my God, like
that's why vacations are, the whole thing with like vacationing out of country is like, it's extremely affordable, other than the fact that you got to pay for the flights.
Yeah.
But then they get you, since you have all this leftover money, then they get all their money from the tourist like attractions and things like that.
Yeah. And so I would say, if I were to receive all that money, the first thing that popped in my mind is, do I move somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
And it, like, honestly, what I would want to do with my money, like, I want to go to space. So I want to go to space.
Oh my God. Oh,
fuck it.
Okay. This will be, I want to follow up on this.
Okay.
I just putting a pin in it so I can remember in my head. Okay. Continue.
I want to go to space really badly. I want to own an island, but not, I don't want to have like an Epstein rape island. I want to have a Wii Sports Resort island. That's what I want.
A Woohoo Island?
Yes. I want Matt from Wii Boxing to be there, and he's beating the shit out of people.
And then he goes to the sword ring. And
yeah, exactly. Like, fuck, that sounds really fun.
Yeah.
But now, like, practicality wise, like managing that, maybe it's a lot of work. I don't know. Maybe just pay someone to manage that for you.
Yeah.
But at least in my head, it sounds really fun. Like, oh, really nice, a really nice hotel. You know, all my friends and we're in Hawaiian shirts.
Not a worry in the world ever again.
Playing ping pong, and the beach is right next to us, doing who the fuck knows what.
We go on a bike ride to the volcano.
You do a fucking bike ride. Jogging would be fucking fun for some reason. Skydiving would be fun. Although I would be the type of person where it's like, oh, my chute's off the point, and then I just die.
You just die on your own island. That's why you get you put a squirrel suit on as a backup.
There you go. Jet skiing would be really fun.
Oh man, paragliding.
This is random, but like basketball looked really fun on Wii Sports Resort at nighttime.
At nighttime, I was about to say.
It's lit up, and you're like, fuck, this looks nice.
Wii Sports Resort is just a dream.
It's paradise.
It's
you know, I said it before. You know, I said we're living in the 13-year-old girl's fantasy, but like, see, my fantasy is owning an island and having it be like Wii Sports Resort. That's all I want.
Wii Sports Resort. That's amazing. Oh man,
Dude,
that's a dream.
Do you remember the Wii Pad or whatever?
Wii Fit?
Like, yeah, the Wii Fit. I remember going jogging on that shit, running around the island, but you couldn't actually run.
That was Wii Fit Plus.
Wii Fit Plus, okay.
Which was like, that was the game it was in, but they used the island from Wii Sports Resort.
Yeah, and I remember, like, you couldn't, like, for the running one, you just had to, like, move your feet up and down. You couldn't, like, jog because you'd break it.
Yeah, because your weight would just crush it.
Yeah, like, I was like, fuck, man. This makes running look fucking fun. I'm like, look at that scenery.
Okay, imagine this, Jared. Imagine you have those, like, full 360 movement things for VR, and you have a VR headset on, you're jogging through Woohoo Island.
Okay. I guess it's a little societal sidetrack here.
Okay.
About VR.
Oh, snap.
I'm a little worried about that.
You're worried about VR?
Well, it's going to be fucking cool.
You know there's VR gyms?
No, I did not know that.
There's one in Boise.
What the fuck?
I learned about that a couple weeks ago. There's a VR gym. We have to go then to see what it's like.
Okay,
Get swole at the VR gym.
Like, the reason why I'm iffy about VR, like, don't get me, like, fuck, it sounds fun. And like if we're talking about like Sword Art Online VR, like, dude, that's fucking cool.
Oh, but then there's the dark side of that.
Well, like, I'm not even talking about like the death and whatnot and all that other shit. I'm just talking about like us socially. Like, I want to say, like, I'm gonna put in parentheses like the real world.
Yes,
because in a sense, like, that virtual, it's like that's real, but you know, kind of like in a boomer speak, it's like it's not tangible. You know, that's not. It's not physical. It's all.
But I guess my perspective on that is I agree. But at the same time, I still think it might be our best option as opposed to, say, we didn't figure out VR, at least not for a long time. We would still achieve that same escapism.
Yeah.
Through something just as abstract, but probably more damaging, like how we are right now with social media, or like, because like there's so many good things about being able to interact with an online community with people all over the world. And there's a lot of bad things that could come from that.
Dude, I could just become a hot chick.
You could catfish people, exactly. Or like, you could just never be yourself. But like, I'd say in VR, to an extent, and especially not with the technology we have, but you could get to a point where like, you're basically representing yourself within this virtual world. But I think the bad part of that could be like, if it becomes the next quote unquote social media thing, I think it'll be a big entertainment thing as far as video games and movies go.
Okay, see, like, yes, I think that could go deeper with what you just said.
Yeah.
I'm not quite fully able to. I think it was Carl Jung. He talks about the persona.
And we talked about this on one of our episodes.
Probably.
Because you're talking about Cody in VR chat.
Yeah. And this is relating back to that time when I talked about it, where, you know, with people that are talking in VR chat, it's not necessarily them. It's like, it's a persona of whatever the fuck it is.
Basically show their entire life on YouTube. That's still not them.
Yeah. And like, I think that is some beauty of like VR chat.
Yeah.
Is that, well, to some extent, like, if you wanted to genuinely be you, you could do that because it's anonymous and you're not going to be judged for it.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, you could just be completely someone else and, like, you know,
you could be a whole character.
Yeah, you could be a whole character.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like either or is like the right way to play VR chat.
Yeah.
But that's certainly a path, because going back to then like the tangible and the virtual, like for me, when I like making, I think it's Woohoo Island is what it's called.
Yes, it is.
Like making Woohoo Island a reality, it just seems more appealing, and I would say more difficult. Like if you were to say like, oh, you could have Woohoo Island in real life, or it can be like completely VR and you could do it with your friends.
An entirely explorable, interactable
yes.
place.
And I'm talking about like really advanced technology like that we don't have right now.
Exactly.
Type of fantasy. And if I were to pick, I think would want to go with the physical Woohoo Island
Okay.
because it's just a deep feeling that could be wrong, but it's just a deep feeling where there's just something more valuable about it, like me actually being there rather than
Because
having it being virtual and some sort of illusion.
yeah, and you're gonna create a way better and more intimate connection to the location. Slash, there's nothing that's gonna just take the real thing away.
Yeah, like again, there I and my issue is I don't want to call the virtual one fake necessarily. I don't want to call it fake.
Right.
But I would say they're definitely two different experiences.
Yes.
And I just find the real experience more attractive. But you could like list a bunch of shit like, the humidity is going to be fucking hot.
The weather.
The weather, it's like, oh, hurricane, you're all going to die on the island. Some weird
You're dying in the happy place, man.
yeah, like some weird mosquito. It's like, oh, you got bit by that. That sucks for you. Like,
You have malaria now.
but again, I just find something. They're just. Again, I'm not trying to downplay the whole virtual experience.
Yeah.
Because I do think there is something to be there in terms of enjoyment, right?
Yeah.
Because like you'd go to the island for enjoyment, and
Yeah.
you do VR for the enjoyment. But again, it's like looking at a pattern is how I view it. And it's like that pattern doesn't quite look right, so I'm feeling iffy about it. That's how I feel about virtual reality, basically.
Okay. What's funny is everybody that gets raised on VR is going to have not that opinion. And prime example is us.
Yeah.
Being raised on the internet, being around the internet pretty much our entire lives.
Yeah.
And we don't have a problem with the extent that internet can go for the most part. Whereas people who didn't have internet until they were like 30 years old, and then all of a sudden there's a thing going on.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're going to be way more resistant to it. And I think if anything's going to be a thing we're resistant to, it will probably be virtual reality, because we're going to like it when it's a fun little experimental thing and like, oh, a new way to play games or watch movies. And then all of a sudden it's going to become real. Like it's going to be just the thing. And all of a sudden we're going to be like, I don't like this.
Yeah. Like, and the reason why I don't want to like downplay it is because I'm kind of comparing, virtual reality to like a dream that you have. Because I feel like that's almost the fucking same thing. Like in a dream and then being in virtual reality.
Yeah.
Like your mind's there, but you're not like physically there type of deal, if that makes sense.
Right.
So that's why like, okay, so I'm gonna jump back to what you were saying about the times being different, and whatnot. And that could be completely. It was like why I'm iffy on it, because now I'm gonna jump back again from what we talked about last night, where I said it kind of feels like the whole concept and what I believe in, like Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
With technology just ramping and ramping and ramping up, it feels like a lot of people, and again, like this is what you define as success.
Yeah.
Whether it be monetary gain,
social success,
social prestige, like what?
Yeah.
I would say at least in the monetary realm, a lot of people could make a lot of money on the internet in a day, like extremely fast. And I'll not in a very skillful or disciplined way. It was almost like luck of the draw.
Yes.
And I'm originally referring to like streaming and shit like
game
that.
Streaming and
game
stuff.
streaming. But this also literally applies to like TikTok.
Oh. I got a sour spot for TikTok.
And see, like I want to have a sour spot for that stuff. But the reason why I don't want to is because I kind of view it as like a little Darwin thing. Like, if people are making this much money with this little resistance, without like any context. Like I think
Or
everyone
effort.
or effort. I think so many people would agree. It's like, yeah, you go with that path. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And so that's why I don't want to knock on it, but and like you could still pull out cards like, oh, you know, it is skillful because like, could you do that
Do
type
you know
of deal?
how much work it is? Yes. It's not necessarily against people who are taking advantage of the stuff that they get. Like, it's all fair. If someone gets lucky and they get a following, they get to make a living off of it, like, sweet. That's awesome. But like, it's not necessarily the people taking advantage of what's happening. I think, at least from what I'm gathering, is the concept of being able to, it's less of a requirement to like, this is all dependent on the person. There's obviously different circumstances and contexts, but like, it's seemingly less difficult to blow up and make a bunch of money really fast and really easily
Yeah.
with less effort required.
Yeah. Like, and to add on to that, because like so many people are doing that, like following the same algorithm, equation, I should say. And I would say like the only thing that would matter that differentiates people is just like physical appearance at this point, because everyone's doing whatever's the fad in the moment.
Yep.
Everyone's hopping on the bandwagon, and it seems like what differentiates people quite simply is almost just your physical appearance.
Yeah.
And
your personality. But even then it could be argued like there are influencers that seem like either they're ripping someone else off or they're trying to replicate a personality.
That's why I'm going to take a stance here, but I'm going to take it anyways. Like, I don't really like vloggers. I'm going to say it. I don't.
Yeah.
Because every time I watch their video, they have, and maybe they are just that excited with life and they're just that happy all the time. I feel like
it puts so much unnecessary pressure. If you're doing it, say on YouTube, to make money, there's one thing for vlogging for your own, like for your family and for your personal like documentation of your guys' like life. It's the same exact thing as like taking photos and then saving the photos.
Yeah.
But it's in video form. Or there's like the extreme version where it's like, I'm posting a video of my life every single day without any breaks and putting a lot of pressure on my family to perform in front of a camera or to look perfect or to formulate random situations for views.
Yes. And so for stuff like that, I'm just like, oh, it's, what'd you say? It's not genuine.
Yes.
You know, maybe a little dishonest.
Slightly shallow.
Shallow.
In some cases.
You know, maybe a false perception of how a family really is.
Yes.
And then I remembered something I forgot, but I never said I forgot it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going back to the whole VR's. I'm iffy about it because I'm a boomer, essentially.
A zoomer.
A zoomer. A Zenial. That's my favorite one. So I'd always, like Davis and Carson, like they'd always say, shut up, boomer. And I say, shut up, Zenials to them.
Zenials.
Or shut up, Zenial.
We're like you and I are right on the edge of millennial and Gen Z.
Yeah.
Like anyways.
And so Karsten would always think that's not a real thing. And I made it up. And so it was like his uncle's girlfriend for Thanksgiving. She identified herself as a Zenial. And then Carson was like, holy shit.
It's real.
He's like, what the fuck was that?
Oh
Anyways,
my gosh.
What I found was interesting. So I went to the eye doctor, I don't know, like last week or something. I don't remember. Time goes by so quick now. And it's been years since I've been to the eye doctor. Like,
yeah.
I think like middle school maybe is the last time I went to the eye doctor.
I think I've taken one vision test in my life, and I was like 2020.
And so it's my first time. Okay, it's so fucking fancy. I gotta say, I don't remember where I went. I don't remember what the place was called, but you dropped something.
Yeah, I keep going.
Like I would always take an eye exam
Mhm.
at like a Shopko that's at the back of the store. Shopko's I think Shopko like went bankrupt or something. They shut down. I don't think there's anymore.
I think
Right?
there's a Shopko.
I thought they
Maybe
shut
they
down.
got bought out.
Oh, okay. I don't. Anyways, and so, it's in the back of the store. They got they got their yellow plastic computers because of how old they are. They used to be white, and then they just turned yellow because of how old they are over time.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're running like Windows XP.
Yep. Sometimes Vista.
And then they take you back and like, all right, some air is gonna blow in your eyes or some shit.
I'm just gonna blow in your face.
Yeah. And then they take you back and they're like 1 or 2. 1
Oh yeah.
or 2.
Yeah.
And like
That's like the stuff you take at school.
yeah, like I just remember the equipment being clunky, maybe like
Yeah.
archaic, like
Yes. Outdated, perhaps.
outdated, like clearly not the fanciest of places by any means.
Yeah.
But that's where I would always go for there. And then that was my perception of going to the eye doctor.
Right.
So I go to this new place, like fucking huge glass doors. They got like a water, like
Damn.
so fucking it gave me futuristic vibes. I was like, I like this. And so I'm filling out a form.
Yeah.
And then I get to a page and it says there's 2 categories. The first, like the question was, how often do you spend time looking at a screen? First one was work / like office, and the other one was like at home. And so I was like, oh geez.
Do you have to choose one or the other?
No, you just put your time, how much time you like. You literally just write how many hours.
I spend more time looking at a screen than I don't look at a screen.
Exactly. And so I looked at it and I'm being serious. Like I think when I wake up until I go, even when I'm in bed, I'm looking at a screen for fucks. Like that's how much I'm looking at a screen.
Here's my breakdown. I wake up. I usually don't check my phone in the morning.
I always check my phone.
I wake up, get ready, go to work, look at a screen for essentially 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then if I'm not looking at the computer screen, I'm looking at either a camera screen or my phone screen, or I guess if you want to count my watch screen. And then I come home from work.
Yeah.
And I generally look at my phone screen for a little bit. Maybe I'll make dinner. So there's my break.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably come and look at my computer screen or my phone screen until I go to bed.
Yep.
And repeat. It's like almost like sad to admit that, but like it's crazy.
Well, and so I was sitting there, I was like, I don't know what to put down because it's going to be such a ridiculously large because it wanted how many hours per week?
Anytime I'm not sleeping.
Yeah. And so I was just like, how many hours per week? And I was just sitting there like, I was like, I don't know what like the math to do on that. And so I just literally wrote 50-50. I wrote 50 hours for like work office and then I wrote 50 for home.
So 100% total.
No, just that's the hours. So 100 hours.
50 hours. Okay.
Yeah. So 100 hours total per week.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Which is not nearly enough. Not nearly enough. And so the machines they tested me on, like we're like, it's like again, where I used to go, it's like Wally. He's all rusted and, picking up the dirt.
It's like a big box.
Yeah, but then the place I go to, they're all like Eve.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even kidding. All black and white.
White, chrome.
Yeah, fucking sleek as shit.
Yeah.
Sharp. I'm just like, oh. So like
LED screens.
Yeah, so like the machines I was using there is fucking amazing. And so then like they bring me into a room. They're just like, yeah, wait for the doctor, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked him. And so, he comes in and we're just talking and he's like, yeah, so you're the like everyone in your family wearing glasses but you. I was like, yeah, I got lucky, I guess.
Well, you're not gonna be lucky if you keep it up.
Yeah. And so we're talking and he's flipping through my sheet I filled out.
You all sweat, like a bead of sweat drips down your forehead.
And so like the first page was just like information, like how to contact me. Then like the second page was like medical history or some shit. And then the third page is the like the screen time stuff. And so when he gets to the third page, I literally see his eyebrows, he like scrunches up. He's like, what the fuck? When he looked at and what I saw, like, I was just thinking, I was like, that's like, I downplayed how like
you lowballed it.
I extremely lowballed it. And he was like, he said, wow, you look at screens a lot. And then I said, yeah, you know, I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm a business admin assistant, you know, I'm all like, it requires me to look at the screen. Even when I'm in class, like I'm typing on a laptop, like I don't like physically write notes anymore.
Right.
Because, well, what, like I could type way faster than I could write. So that's why I like to do it first of all.
Yeah. And it's not as pain in the ass when you go to erase something.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh fuck, and then I'm erasing it, and then the teacher keeps going. I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And so like at school or when I'm working at school, again, I'm literally almost always looking at the screen, and then when I come home, I'm looking at a screen.
Yep, same.
And so I just kind of explain that to him, and then. We're like just from there we're just talking about like how my vision is and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was just his surprise by how much I lowballed it first of all.
Yeah.
The little shock he gave to him when I told him how much I was on it.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm a little I'm built different a little bit.
Built different.
When we were taking my eye exam and whatnot, he was like,
did he mention like this will kill you?
Well, no, so he was like, do your eyes hurt when you're looking at the screen for this long? I was like, no, not really. He's like, you don't get any straining or anything? It's like, no, not at all. And he's like, okay. And then when I was doing like the 1-2 shit, he's like, 1 or 2. Like this one, and then he started going. He's like 4 or 5, 6 or 7. Like yeah. I was like, whoa, what are you doing, dude?
I've never been this far.
And then I remember he's like interesting. He's like, let me try this. And he's like, and then he like was doing some other shit. I was like, what's going on? And so then I was asking him about it. He's like, yeah, you got better vision than 2020. I was like, oh my God. I was like,
he's like, are you human?
I was like, and I think it's just funny because of how shocked he was from.
And then you're like, okay, so at worst, my eyes degrade to 2020.
Yeah, like I thought it was funny, but the whole point of me talking about that was his shock factor to my use of
your exposure to
screen time. And then I'm sure I'll be like that when I'm talking to my kids, if I ever fucking have kids, or just someone younger, and they're like, yeah, I actually like.
I'm blind now.
It's more of I more often meet people on VR than I do in like a real world.
Oh yeah. And
so if I were to ask them like, well, how often do you like see people? And they're like, maybe once a week, maybe 2 times.
Yeah, that's gonna be the next thing to go is social interaction.
Yeah, like I'm gonna be that guy then where I'm just like, fuck.
I haven't met someone in 6 years actually.
Yeah, like. And I'm not saying that's bad, like I'm sure you could get some like evolutionary biologists be like, oh, that's not good. But anyways.
Yeah.
We're old.
Yeah. Well, we're evolving actually. Like maybe you're a living example of human evolution around technology.
See, I was listening more about Brett Weinstein, and he was talking about, he talks about it, and Davis doesn't like it.
Oh.
Like he talks about why I don't think it's impossible. Like, so he talks about immortality, and he's like why you don't want it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he was explaining, because there was another scientist, I forgot his name, but he viewed senescence, aging, as a mechanical problem that can be fixed. Like, flying a rocket. It's like, oh, it's not working. Okay, like let's work it out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how another person viewed it. But Brett viewed it as, you know, maybe that's not something you want to quote unquote trying to fix.
Yeah.
Because he said, and like the reason why people don't like this, he said, ooh, like our immortality, quote unquote, like is already in place.
Yeah.
Because what he was saying was, you know, like whatever we are, like currently through natural selection, like it's your offspring that are
You.
going to be the ones to adapt and be
Yeah.
the better versions of you suited for whatever's going on. But people don't want to hear that because that's not us. Like that's the concept of, I guess, us, if you want to call it that. Like it's just the idea of humans just continue on living.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean specifically.
Someone from 100 years ago couldn't stand it where we are now.
Yeah, like we're just, I guess, for right now, like we're better versions of them in that sense.
Yep.
And it's always going to be like that.
Yeah.
And so, like, and when you say it like that, it's like, oh yeah, you know, we'll keep living. But for the individual, it's like, well,
that's not me though.
Yeah, that's not me though.
Yeah.
And so that's why he was saying people don't like that.
I want to go back to the screen thing real quick, just to add a thought. I think one of the reasons why us staring at screens all day isn't affecting us as much is because the only metric really that I'd say we have before this is the people before us who got eye damage from staring at TVs for too long, right?
Yeah.
Thing is, though, I think nowadays screens are way less harmful to our eyes. Not to say that they're not harmful at all, but compared to older screens, I think staring at a CRT or anything else like old is probably going to do more damage to your eyes than a modern phone screen or a modern computer monitor, especially with functions like I have it set on my phone to like automatically turn off blue light after 10 p.m.
I don't have that.
And like on my monitors, I can turn off blue light, and blue light's the thing that damages your eyes.
Okay.
And that's why it's beneficial to have blue blockers, which are just yellow tinted glasses to block the blue light from like destroying your eyeballs. And it's important, like especially with a job like mine where literally intensely staring at a screen for like detail as far as editing or whatever, and then coming home and then essentially doing the same thing, playing a game or editing something of my own or anything like that. It's eventually, I think we'll get to the point where like we can reduce blue light problems pretty much fully. But nowadays, I think there's way more options to help reduce that impact on your eyes than there was 50 years ago when TVs were first coming around and kids were going like needing glasses due to the damage to their eyes from these early stages of technology, where now it's like you spend so much time and this doctor, but obviously he was probably older, right?
Yeah. Like
40s. Yeah.
40s, 50s.
But like, if you think about it, I use my dad as an example. So I think my mom was born needing glasses, but my dad wasn't, or maybe I've got that wrong. But all I know is my sister and I don't. We don't need glasses. So that leads me to believe that like we're going to need glasses later, obviously. But that could also be because maybe the effects of what we're doing now won't affect us until 10 or 15 years from now.
Maybe.
Or it'll take another 10 to 15 years of the same activity to hit that point. Or it could be 30 years because now everything's 50% more safe, right? And like it could, if you want to go with stomper math, it's just like simple, like, oh, well, screens are 50% safer to look at, then it's going to take twice the amount of time to damage your eyes. Or if you're taking precautions like using blue light blocking or blue light settings or just not going on a screen as much. But I feel like it's so much harder to do that nowadays because it's so deeply ingrained in everything we do at this point something as simple as communicating with someone, you have to look at a screen.
I'm ready for a chip to be put in my brain. I am ready.
Like I said earlier, I don't think I want to be on the front lines of testing any new stuff.
I don't want to be on the front lines of that either. But once it gets all sorted out, I'll be honest, I'll do it.
That would be crazy.
I don't give a fuck. I'll do it.
But
I think it'd be awesome.
I think I'm scared of that. I think I'm like, I wouldn't want it to be reduced to a single synapse in my brain to tell you something, you know? I'm not saying that there's anything innately like bad about it. It's just, I don't know. That's where I'm at right now.
I'm just looking, like, I'm just thinking of like all the cool shit that might be real from it. It's like, whoa, it's what do they call it? Not starts with an A, not virtual reality. It's
augmented reality.
Augmented reality.
Yeah,
where you just see all the, like, when I look at stuff, I have like I have a UI when I look at things. I'm just like, whoa.
I got to show you this episode of the show called Black Mirror.
I've heard some people say it's like good.
There's this one where this guy literally gets like a gaming chip put in his brain, and essentially what it is an augmented reality thing, and it turns on whenever you enter this haunted house like stage that they built, and then you can see you see the game like it's virtual reality, but it's just through your own eyes. I won't spoil it, but essentially it goes wrong for all the reasons you'd think it would go wrong.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of
but there's like a twist on top of a twist on top of a twist, and it's like by the end of it you're like, oh my god. So maybe I'll show you that soon. But another thing I'm like super freaked out by, and this is the thing I put a pin in earlier, because you said you want to do two things if you had all that money: have an island or go to space.
Well, both.
Or both, yes. So for me, this is so hard for me because like, if of all the science, I think space, like astronomy, is the thing I'm most interested in. But other than like, what would you say, biology, where not necessarily like the makeup of animals, but like, I think wildlife is really cool, like wildlife biology, but astronomy specifically is like so incredibly fascinating to me. And there'd be literally no other experience a human could have that is being in space. And on one hand, I would love to do that. It would be such a unique experience for a human to feel. And on the other hand, I'm like, that is terrifying. Something goes wrong. There's nothing anybody can do.
See, for me, I just like, I want us to be like Star Wars. Like, I want Dyson spheres. I want all this cool shit.
Oh man, that never.
I want to go from planet to planet. You know, I want a vacation home on one of like Saturn's moons where I can see Saturn's rings out from my backyard.
Yeah.
Like, now given there's a lot of scary. I think scary is the right word.
Yeah.
Out there in space.
A lot of unknown. Mostly unknown.
I remember in high school, and it was like 1 a.m., you know, got school. Like, I'm supposed to like wake up at 6.
Uh-huh.
I was just watching some YouTube video that was talking about like the craziest planets that we think are real or some shit like that. Maybe they're confirmed. I don't know. And it was just saying like, oh, this planet, like, it has like super high speeds of like glass, like objects like flying through the, like, just all these crazy types of planets. And then I just like had this existential crisis thing where I'm like, I'm a speck of dust, man.
Oh no.
And so I just laid there. I was just like, fuck.
Oh my god.
And so I just sat there because the vastness of the universe is just, it's insane.
Incomprehensible. I think, okay, so if we like figured out space travel and it was way more advanced, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
I think that's what No Man's Sky like captured my imagination with, is like, it's so open world that you can just do what you want. And there's like all these weird interactions that you don't expect. But like, as far as like right now, since no one wants to put significant effort into expanding space programs. No one, as in like pretty much no country, wants to put significant effort in. And you could make the argument, "Ooh, Tesla, we don't know what Russia or China are doing."
See,
but
maybe we're talking to aliens, so that we already got that covered. We're just
Right,
waiting
but
to
like-
expose it.
as a person like in my shoes, that doesn't exist. You know? So like my perception of it is going up in the ISS in a spacesuit and like fixing parts of the ship, or like going to the moon and being like, "Oh, this is crazy." But then like you think about it and it's like, I sure hope a rock doesn't fly through and tear a hole in my suit. That would suck.
Like, that's not gonna happen.
So I was watching a couple of videos about the International Space Station.
Yeah.
And essentially what you're experiencing on that space station isn't necessarily the full feeling of no gravity. What you're feeling is actually like, essentially the space station is continually falling to Earth, but it's at an angle. Since obviously we're on a circular orbit, you're falling around the edge of the Earth, but you never hit the Earth because of the angle that it's at. So you're constantly getting pulled down. You're in a free fall forever. So, and I was just basically explaining, like, technically it could be different once you're outside of that. But anyways, it's like I don't remember his name, Chris Hadfield, which is like the big famous guy who basically lived on the ISS, and he did all like, this is what it's like to drink water, this is what it's like to cry, this is what it's like to do this. He basically does all these Q&As and demonstrations and stuff. And he was talking about like what would happen if you were to experience space without a spacesuit. And essentially he was saying like you'd be simultaneously freezing and boiling at the same time. Like your blood would be boiling.
I think there's a word for that.
But your skin
like
would
water.
be freezing. Your lungs would instantly go completely flat like a Ziploc bag. And anyways, it's just like thinking about like that would happen nowhere else but space. We are not designed to be exploring space.
Well.
We're not technically designed to be doing most of the things we're doing, but such as flying in jets and
like I like Joe Rogan's take on it. Like,
okay,
we are on a spaceship and it's called Earth.
That is a Joe Rogan thing to say,
and we're God knows what the fuck we're doing on this spaceship.
talking about gorillas fighting grizzly bears.
But okay, so before that, I actually looked into it before Joe Rogan talked about it, because I thought the gorilla would beat the shit out of a grizzly bear.
Do you know how big a grizzly bear is?
Well, see, that's the thing. The grizzly bear is like 300 more pounds or some shit.
And it's like 7 or 8 feet tall, and its claws are like 5 inches long.
Yeah, so I was like, because I was reading some debate about it, and some dude was like, because a guy was arguing for the silverback gorilla.
Yeah, it's like Team Monkey.
Yeah, but then the guy like started listing all the things of like the grizzly bear, and then the dude's like the grizzly bear is gonna like chomp on that gorilla. It's like, oh,
grizzly bears don't have a natural predator, and humans don't count because we're not naturally a predator to them. We're technologically a predator to them. Same with wolves. I don't know if you know this, but wolves have no natural predators. Nothing other than other wolves and other packs of wolves are predators to wolves in a pack. I mean, a lone wolf will die to a mountain lion, but like a pack of wolves will win every time.
That's the same for orca.
Crazy.
Anyways,
so many apexes.
And we're at the top. But
we're at the top because of guns.
Intelligence.
Yes.
But see, another fascination with space. I'd love to talk to an alien. I really would.
That would be. Here's something. Do you think you'd go into shock?
That's good. Okay.
Because I think you'd go into denial first. You'd
No,
be like,
no,
that's
no.
not real.
No, I'd already believe it. I'm not a denier.
No, what I'm saying is like naturally, you wouldn't be able to believe yourself.
No, I think I could, honestly.
Is this a dream? This isn't real. Like, I think that's the kind of denial I'm talking about. Like,
I see, yeah.
I don't think this is happening kind of thing.
See, like, And I'm sure there's so assuming aliens are real. I'm sure
They
there's
are.
a bunch of like I'm sure there's good aliens and bad aliens. I'm sure there's like some parasitic aliens that you don't like. It's like you never want to come across that
Facehuggers, yeah.
thing. Like some like HP Lovecraft shit where it's like,
I love HP.
It's like fuck, that's horror. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's
horrifying.
terrifying. Yeah.
But I remember this is through HP Lovecraft. It was like I forgot what the species is called. I haven't read any of his work, but from what I understand, this is like out of all like this is like this alien race he created. They're not like cosmic horrors or anything.
Mhm.
I forgot what they're called. There's like a picture of them. I'm not going to describe it because I do a bad job at it. But this alien species, what they're able to do, they're able to like swap their consciousness with other beings throughout like the universe.
What?
And they're historians. They're historians.
Oh my.
And so what they do is they swap with other living things throughout the universe, and then they like you swap bodies, and so like I would be in their body,
Yeah.
and then you would just talk to them, and they'd be like, yeah, we're historians, and they just walk you through and they talk to you while your body is out gathering information about your society. And so
what in the world?
and so then they swap again, but you forget that ever happened, and then they keep the knowledge and they just record it.
Damn.
But they had a whole tragic thing where like they had like a Mayan calendar where they were destined to like their civilization was to fall. And so what they did then to try to save themselves, they like swap bodies with like humans so that they would live, because the human conscious would die on the planet.
Oh,
but they would survive on Earth. And they just do. But anyways, like I'm sure there's like cool shit like that where there's like some fucking bizarre aliens where it's like
something that is not even comprehensible to us.
Yes. And I just think it'd be really cool to talk to aliens, and just like thinking how crazy it'd be. Like, would it be that crazy? I guess it would be, like, because it's not from Earth.
Okay, so assuming you can properly communicate.
Yeah.
Which this is on the assumption that the alien is more advanced than us. But imagine this. Imagine we somehow, like, all of a sudden, this, like, alien tool just, like, we just see it floating around in space. And it's like, it's taken billions of trillions of years.
Light years.
To come even close to us.
Yeah.
And then it's just like,
damn, bro.
What is this? But they're like same level as us. Like same level of like intelligence. So it's like, it's just fascinating to be like, we shoot a satellite out. Satellite dies. We lose contact with it. It just goes.
See, I view it more like this. So we talked about this before, like, like on Earth, sorry, religious people, like we all come from a single organism,
right?
Because we all share the same DNA. That's how that works. And I always thought, like, how weird would it be? I don't know why I said that, but anyways, how weird would it be for us on Earth if there was, because we've had like subtype of humans or different types of humans.
Variations.
I was like,
humans.
well, like how crazy would it be? And I guess it wouldn't be crazy because we would just be used to it. But if it were right now, like if there was, a subtype of us,
like a Neanderthal, Homo sapiens,
like you just kind of deal with it, I guess. Maybe in the end it is war and you dominate, blah blah blah.
One would enslave the other. It's human nature.
Or maybe you just kind of coexist. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
unlikely. We can barely do that with our own kind.
I just kind of feel like maybe those same concepts would be applied to like aliens, where it's just like, all right, I don't want to die. You don't want to die.
You have to think about the reason the aliens are out. Would they be going out for, like you're saying, historian purposes? Or they're so advanced that they're just trying to keep track of whatever's going on? Or are they going because they need resources?
There's that.
And there's like the two different types. Or like maybe they can't see in the same color spectrum and light spectrum as us. So they show up, they don't see us, or they see something that's us, but it's not the way were, I guess, meant, quote unquote, meant to be seen. So then they either don't notice us as anything, or they just move on because we're completely insignificant. Think about this. How many alien ships have flown past or through our solar system and just been like, I don't care.
So this is like, we're getting into conspiracy territory. And again, I 100% believe in aliens.
I do too. We've said this before, but I find it more likely that aliens exist than they
You
don't.
view it as like a probability. That's how I view it too. Like, but my issue is like, I forgot, like recently it was some, like top level government guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking, I forgot the article or something, but he was explaining, he's like, yeah, like they probably exist or something. Like it was something to the lines of like, he was like nudging you about like, yeah, aliens exist type of deal.
Yeah.
Because, you have examples like Edward Snowden,
Mm-hmm.
when he had all his access to all this government stuff, because from what I remember, he was the guy where like some general would come to him and the general would say, I want information about this. He's the guy that would get information.
He's like the intelligence.
He's the one that exposed the whole NSA for spying on us, the phone calls and whatnot. And he explained how he had ungodly amounts of clearance to all this information, and he tried to find aliens and he couldn't find anything before he left.
What a man.
And then I think there's other stories of presidents that tried to do that as well, where they're like, I gotta know, are aliens real? With the same thing, we're like, nothing.
Damn.
But again, like, then you have crazy stuff where this is an article like kind of early on in the pandemic, where they were like, oh yeah, we have some crap, like some spacecraft not from this earth type of deal. Like you have
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're shit like that. And then like going back to conspiracies, I've heard of stories where there's some obelisk on Saturn or Jupiter's moon. Yes, like
whoa.
So I don't know if that's real. It's kind of conspiracy, but I heard people talk about it. I've heard conspiracies about like maybe some weird stuff happening on our own moon. Like
if I had Superman's powers, I would explore. I would just explore the galaxy or the universe.
I would too, because that'd be fucking
cool.
Like,
screw you guys. I'm just gonna cause problems. I'm leaving.
Damn.
I'll be back.
Well, but that'd prove aliens are real already.
Because you'd be an alien yourself. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So going back to I don't want to say where I get this from, but
I think I know.
You do know,
but I won't say anything.
I don't want to be what do you call it? I don't want to say controversial names here, but
yeah, because you haven't said them before.
But I liked his take on it, where he, never mind. Anyways,
all right, we gotta wrap up.
We gotta wrap it up. Like,
yep.
God, aliens are real.
I love the idea of,
dude,
like,
it's totally going to be normalized. Like, they're just going to come out and be like, "Yep." Yeah. Okay, I was going to say, I had a little idea about, like, maybe we're not in this scenario, but somewhere out there has to be this scenario. Okay. So you know how on our planet, like, we're working on oil. It's like, oops, I made a mistake, and then I killed like all these animals in this environment.
Oops.
You know what? They're like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
And then they're like, we're sorry.
That happens to us.
Yeah. No. And so I'm like, what if there's some aliens out there, and they're doing some like crazy shit, and they're like, oops, we made a mistake, and it's just destroyed half of a galaxy or something, and they're just like, fuck.
I watched a video about how Andromeda and the Milky Way galaxy are going to collide. And like at first when I heard about like that's inevitably going to happen, I was like, oh man, that'll be the end. And it's like, it won't actually, because apparently when the two galaxies collide, we're going to basically be unscathed. Nothing's going to change except our view.
Yeah. And so I was gonna ask you a question. So
Yeah.
the pictures I see, so like I see a lot of pictures of like the night sky, and we could see like one part of like the Milky Way, and so like that's how we determine like where we are comparing to
Yeah.
like where we see in the Milky Way. Because you see like I'm not gonna call it like you can see like a side of the Milky Way in so many pictures
You
when
can
you look
see
at
a
the sky.
nebula.
So that's that's not actual vision, right? That's like using fancy lenses and
Yes.
like
So that's
using
using extremely long exposure lenses on a
Okay.
very, very small section of infinity using it's a combination of all the different light spectrums. So it's a
Okay.
combination of X-ray, gamma ray, like our normal color light, infrared. It's a combination of all of them, and then they're stacked on top of each other, and then it's like, then you can see it.
So okay, we got to take a trip somewhere where we could go to like the least light pollution.
Yep.
Because I want to see what the sky looks like with like the least amount of light pollution.
Okay.
Because I always see the cool pictures of what you just described,
Yes.
where I'm like, fuck, that looks cool.
So what's really cool is there's this picture that we saw that I learned about in high school in one of my astronomy classes, where they took a camera with a lens that's like 10 millimeters by or something like that, like a really, really tiny image,
Okay.
and they pointed it in one direction, and it sat and took like a month-long picture, or
Okay.
a week long, or multiple weeks or something. Just like, so do you know how shutter speed works? So your shutter is closed, and then you click the button, and it opens and closes again, and then
Yeah.
whatever light is captured is what your image is.
So a long,
So
a
a
slower
longer,
shutter speed.
yeah. So slower shutter speed is like.
Yeah. Letting more light in.
But what happens when you do that is that's what causes blurry images,
Okay.
because like the light's moving. So, the faster your shutter speed, the more still an object is,
Okay.
and the longer it is, the more light that comes in. So the whole point is like you point at a super tiny spot in the void of space, and you just let it sit. And the image
with a
that
slow
came
shutter
out
speed.
with
like
with like a month-long shutter speed.
Okay. Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, all of the light that is pointing that direction comes in and eventually hits the sensor, and then it turns it into an image. And basically, it's like an image what just looks like a bunch of stars. But since it's such good technology and it's a satellite camera and it's in space itself and all these other factors, it's like this extremely high resolution photo. And they zoomed in on one of the dots because it looks like just a bunch of white specks that we generally say,
Yeah. We look out
oh,
there.
those are just stars.
Yeah.
They zoom in, and each one of the white little dots is its own galaxy.
Yeah.
And mind you, that's a really, I'm just going to say, spitballing a number here. Let's just say it's a 1 inch by 1 inch square of one part of the universe, and it's only a month-long exposure.
You zoom, it's like, hey, maybe
And
there's
there
someone like
are
us.
literally millions of galaxies in that image. Millions of galaxies. And then it's like, whoa.
Universe is big.
You cannot fathom the amount of galaxies, stars, solar systems, planets, celestial objects, nebulas, things like that. Like you just literally, there's no way to fully comprehend how we exist. And that's why I think it's so nearsighted and it's so naive to say, no way aliens exist. That is an impossibility in my mind.
I agree.
There is no way we are the only ones who got the perfect formula. And the quote unquote perfect formula is for our type of life. It has been proven by species on our own planet that we are not the only type of life. There are plants. There are microorganisms. There are plankton, which is like a weird combination of like plant and bacteria, and like we don't even know what's in our ocean. And it's like, how could we possibly think this is the only type of life that exists when we already know there's different spectrums of light that we can't even see without a special camera, and there's even more, there's an infinite spectrum that we only know like down to infrared and up to gamma, and just in between those, or X-ray or whatever the range is. We only know like a certain range on this infinite spectrum, and we're like, we're just lucky, I guess. We're the only ones who could possibly have made it. And there's
Goldilocks zone.
millions of galaxies in a 1 inch by 1 inch square of an infinite void. There is no way. Absolutely no way. There are multiple Goldilocks planets that could sustain our own life form that we have already found. Whether or not they're still in that condition is up for debate, but because of how long it takes us to
we're just
receive
receiving
this
that light from
billions of light years. But like, still, I don't know. That's why I'm like, of course aliens exist. Maybe we'll never see them in our lifetime, but I feel like humans either already have or will interact with alien species at some point during their existence, as long as we don't go extinct.
Which is like relatively wise, like in a sense, like we're also aliens because we're out here. Like
we could be alien to our own planet and we would never know it.
We're from Mars. We're from Mars.
Because look at how much we're like tearing it down, and not to get all political and environmentalist, but like, I'm just saying we are using up our resources more so than anything else on this planet. Who's to say we didn't come here from another planet super long ago and we just started doing our thing and then we evolved?
Okay. God damn it. Okay. I want to then go back to psychedelics.
Okay.
And this is like, I hear music, but
that must be the outro music, Jared.
Yeah, maybe it is. Fuck. Okay, fine. I'll okay, not going to psychedelics later time.
Okay.
Anyways, back to the thing before we go. It was just the because I've seen some crazy pictures of like some desert, and the sky was like or the night sky was like fucking green. But then I'm like, wait, I'm just like, but it's like it's not like this obviously has to be fucking touched up.
Yeah.
But I was like, but if it's not, I was like that looks fucking cool. Because I've seen videos of like people fucking around with like the Aurora Borealis and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's like I forget which country it was, but they have like a spa, and then it's like a natural hot springs, and it's like a place where you can see the Nordic lights. And so while people are like just out chilling in their swimsuits, like the Nordic lights are above them.
Oh my God.
Like, fuck.
Oh,
I gotta go there.
It's amazing the things we like to look at.
Yeah.
Which are like fairly insignificant.
It's cool.
It's just light being bent.
It's because I never get to see it. That's
exactly,
why.
Yeah. So, anyways, we could go on. We clearly have something pent up after taking a week off. But that was episode 16. I thought it was funny how perfectly we ended. We took a break right after episode 15. I didn't realize that, but it was like very neat, very nice and neat. But we're back on our normal schedule. 2021 will be our year, Jared. We're already at 300 downloads already. That boggles my mind.
Here, I'll say this for the 2021 enthusiasts.
Yes.
So like I've said before, like, you know, if a guy is seeking enlightenment on top of a mountain and climbs the mountain, well, he's not going to find the enlightenment because he didn't bring the enlightenment with him up at the mountain.
I totally heard that. Oh, that was you. That was you.
Me.
Okay. I was like, I swear to God, I heard that somewhere.
And I'm just going to say, I'm going to apply that same concept to 2021.
Yes.
You know, if it's when you get to that top of the mountain, when that new year, when it becomes 2021.
Yep.
I promise you, it's not going to be magic. You know, you forgot to bring something with you.
Yeah. That means stay positive, everybody, and make sure you're not seeking something that you're not preparing yourself to have. And I guess that'll do it. That's Jared's final words. I didn't have to ask that time. And We're not ending it on a quote like we said we would.
I know. My bad.
We'll have one next week.
Next week, I promise.
All right. If you want, follow us on all social media. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts, leave a rating. That would be nice. Helps with first impressions. Do all the YouTube stuff if you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, we post every Friday at noon, except for Christmas. And thanks for listening. And bye-bye.